That we ran out of memory on our phone, so we had to do another video. But I was saying that here it's saying that he forgives iniquity and transgression and sin. So he is very merciful here in the Old Testament. And if you think about it, if you know about years from the time Adam and Eve were created to the time Yahushua was born is about 4,000 plus years. And I'm not sure about, if we look at this Exodus real quick, I'm doing this off the cuff. I'm getting off, but I just want to make a very important point. Okay, according to my study Bible here, Moses leads the people of Israel out of Egypt around 1446 BC. The law, the Torah, is given on Mount Sinai around 1445 BC. So that's 1,445 years, because everything goes backwards, right, to zero. And then around zero is when Yahushua was born. He dies around 33 years old. And then we get all the apostles and everything after that. So if you think about it, we're living in year 2015, 16 according to the Babylonian calendar. But we're living in 2015 years. He has dealt with people for 1,445 years. And he's been dealing with us for another 2,000 something years. So just think about that. Anything you want to say so far? Can't understand the notes.
Okay. But just to go back to this part, is that we also have to establish what sin is. And when he's talking about that he forgives sin and he forgives iniquity, it may seem like a trivial question, but if we define our definition now, we will understand it later on in the scriptures. And it's when you transgress, when you go against the commands of Yah. So I just want to point that out, because that's also going to be part of the foundation when we're talking about we need to repent. What is it we're talking about we need to repent from? It's from breaking the commands that came from Yah. And let's see here. So
9 is when he pleads.
Verse 9.
Verse 9 is when he pleads. We're in chapter 34. Exodus 34. Verse 9 is when he says, "Then he said, If now I have found grace in your sight, O Yahuwah, let my master, I pray, go among us, even though we are a stiff-necked people, and pardon our iniquity and our sin, and take us as your inheritance." So he's advocating. Covenant, the land, verse 10. It says, "And he said, Behold, I make a covenant before all your people. I will do marvels such as have not been done in all the earth, nor in any nation. And all the people among whom you are shall see the work of Yahuwah, for it is an awesome thing that I will do with you. Observe what I command you this day. Behold, I am driving out from before you the Amorite, the Canaanite, the Hittite, the Perizzite, and the Hivite, and the Jebusite. Take heed to yourself, lest you make a covenant with the inhabitants of the land where you are going, lest it be a snare in your midst. But you shall destroy their altars, break their sacred pillars, and cut down their wooden images. For you shall worship no other Elohim. For Yahuwah, whose name is jealous, is a jealous Elohim. Lest you make a covenant with the inhabitants of the land, and they play the harlot with their Elohim, and make sacrifice to their Elohim, and one of them invites you, and you eat of his sacrifice, and you take of his daughters for your sons, and his daughters play the harlot with their Elohim, and make your sons play the harlot with their Elohim. You shall make no molten Elohim for yourselves." And it goes on with more commandments, what to do, the feast. It talks about all these important commandments, but I want to say, Idolatry is on the top of the list of one of the things that Yahuwah hates. And you see the importance of covenant here. There's a covenant being established, a specific covenant with a specific people, and you are not allowed to establish any different kinds of covenants with any different kinds of people. So this is very important to see. Let's keep going. Anything you want to say?
Yeah. And the picture that we have of idolatry is, actually making an image and setting it up. However, later on in the scriptures, which is one of my favorite scriptures, but we'll wind up getting to it, where he says, do not do like the other nations do. Do not worship me in the same manner that the other nations that surround you worship me. Now, I understand that today and age, we are not in the actual land. We are not in the physical kingdom. We are not around the actual people of the Most High in one setting. And we are in exile. However, the same command applies to not make covenants with those that are surrounding us, to not serve their mighty ones, their Elohim, the way they do. This is very serious, because even the act of serving another mighty one, that's idolatry, because you're serving, it's spiritual adultery when we try to serve Yah the same way that heathens and pagans serve their mighty ones. Even if we say we're doing it unto the Most High, the same way that the Israelites did when we saw the golden calf incident. So he takes this very, very seriously. And I understand people don't get smote down by lightning in a blink of an eye. That's his mercy to still give us breath. But that does not mean that the day that we stand before him, he's not going to bring all that to remembrance and say, how are you serving me? So it's his word is not to be taken lightly at all. Sorry, that one just stirs me up.
Very good. Fix that real quick. We're going to go to verse
27.
So he says, don't play the harlot, right? I mean, that's spiritual adultery, spiritual prostitution. Okay, when you do these things, idolatry and making different covenants and stuff like that. Verse 27, and we'll go to 29. Then Yahuwah said to Moses, write these words, for according to the tenor of these words, so everything that was being said before this is important. I have made a covenant with you and with Israel. So he was there with Yahuwah 40 days and 40 nights. He neither ate bread nor drank water. And he wrote on the tablets the words of the covenant, the 10 commandments. These are the words of the covenant. Now it was so, when Moses came down from Mount Sinai, and the 2 tablets of testimony were in Moses' hand, when he came down from the mountain, that Moses did not know that the skin of his face was shining while he talked with him. And I wanted to highlight this passage because, to me, I just want to make a quick cross-reference and a quick picture going to New Testament and Old Testament, comparing the two. Paul the apostle, or Shaul is his real Hebrew name, but in Christianity Paul is like the Moses of Christianity. I would say a bad interpretation of Paul is the Moses of Christianity. And I would tell you, Paul, even if he was speaking against the law and the Torah and this covenant, and creating a new one and talking about a different one, he in no way compares to Moses. Paul's face never was shining because the glory of the Father